Okay, so this is the moment of truth when I see if all the parts actually fit together properly and what the green actually looks like. I put the oil on this and I'm quite pleased with the result. This is pear wood from the back garden. This is what it looks like before the oil. That's the lid. It goes on here like this. Yeah, this is the moment where I have to pay for all the mistakes that I made while I was working on it. I've just noticed here, when I was sanding it, I managed to ruin the finish here, so I'm going to have to go over this with a bit of sandpaper, sand that down a bit before I put the oil on. That'll look awful if I don't do that. Don't know if you can see, there's a bit of it's gouged out here, which yeah, it's a pity because I had a really nice finish on that before. I had to cut off the end here and then sand it down because it wasn't a perfect fit on the box. And I made a bit of a mistake here when I took the I cut this bit out here. I went straight through to the end. I should have stopped just before the end here. I forgot about that. The reason I have to stop is because of the shape of the end of the box here. Another mistake I made, both mistakes together meant that the lid wouldn't have looked so good if these bits had been missing. So I glued those pieces in this morning and sanded it down again. And while I was sanding it down, I made this mistake here. Anyway, here are the inset boxes which I made. Let's make sure they fit. Put that in here. See how that seems to work. So the other one fits next to it. Oh, it's a tight fit, but it seems to be working. Hang on. Ooh. That's too tight there. That's not good. Hang on a sec. I may have to sand this down again. Let me just check something. If I put it in the other way, maybe it fits better. Yes. I wasn't precise enough while I was cutting that, and obviously it's not a perfect square. Let me just show you the inside of the box. Here we are. There we are. They fit in all right there, don't they? Yeah, I'm quite happy with that, even if it isn't perfect. My woodworking has never been perfect, and I don't think it ever will be, but I am using some beautiful wood here, and it's going to look all right anyway. Anyway, let's get some oil on this here. This is boiled linseed oil. So it's perfectly safe. There's nothing poisonous about this. You could use it for cooking if you want. I wouldn't recommend it now. But you can certainly use it for making breadboards and stuff like that. Anyway, you can see the finish coming up on that. This pear wood, I think, is the most beautiful wood I've ever worked with. Last thing I made was a coat rack. I made it out of ash, and I thought that was the most beautiful thing I made. This wood is even more beautiful. The grain on this is it's a painting. It's art. So let's look at the finish coming up on there. There we go. Oh, there's the bit that I messed up. I'm going to have to sand that down again. Here we are. You probably won't see this. It's not going to be perfectly flat anymore, but it will be perfectly smooth, I hope, and it probably won't show up, at least not badly. Anyway, this is the underside of the lid anyway, so it doesn't matter as much. But still, I do want it to look okay. Here we are. I can still feel it there when you go over it. It doesn't show up as much, but you can still feel it. So I'm just going to sand it down a little bit more here. Nearly done. There we are. Tiny bit more. Oops. Okay, that'll do it. So, a bit of oil over it, and it'll look fine. There's the end grain before it gets oiled, and then when you go over it with the oil, the grain darkens, and the depth of color becomes visible. That's I think this looks amazing. That's the nice thing about working with a beautiful a wood with a beautiful grain. You can make a lot of mistakes and it's still going to look good. So there we are. This is the top of the box. And it slots in there. Yeah. Just making sure it still fits. So, tiny bit more oil. And then we're done. So, look at that. It's a lovely color, isn't it? So, our last bits here. There we are. So, look at that. Now this wood comes from the pear tree in the garden. Came down a couple of years ago. The second half of the tree came down in a storm, and it's been sitting, this part of it's been sitting in the shed since then. Let me see, that was 2017, autumn, September, when this tree came down. So it's been drying for nearly 4 years now, and yeah, pear is a very hard wood. Apple and pear are both very hard woods. So this there shouldn't be much warping in here anymore now that it's properly dried. That's a bit of a danger if the wood isn't properly dried before I start using it. If I make a lid like this with wood that's still a little bit wet and it warps, the lid won't fit anymore. I either have to make a new lid or a new box or both. And it's taken me all week to make this box. I started on, no, not quite all week. I started on Wednesday, and I've been doing almost nothing else since then. It's now Saturday. Yeah, there we are. So, all done. Thank you for watching. Take care.